PFTOT Wednesday edition. We have solved the technical issues for Chris Simms, unless I just jinxed it. We had some fun at the end of the show. Chris, you're very humorous when you're upset. I didn't mean that as an insult. I knew you were going to be livid, and you were. Nothing sets you off like technical difficulties, but we're good to go for now, and we have a chance to talk undeterred, uninterrupted by whatever gremlins may be lurking in your technological processes.
I don't get it. Like, I sit here and do the show, haven't had one issue for weeks, right? And I get a few text messages on my phone, and it's like my phone took over the connection. And like, I couldn't get FaceTime to work on my iPad, and I couldn't get anything to go through to the studio. I mean, it did. There was a lot of four-letter words flying over here at the Simms household.
And it may just be that Philip got up early and he's playing Call of Duty or Fortnite or something like that and sucking up the bandwidth.
It could be. It might be just as simple as that.
Well, before he gets into another game, let's get this in. We talked yesterday about the Dalvin Cook situation in Minnesota, where as of Monday, he disengaged from the virtual offseason program. I mean, the virtual offseason program is about to end anyway, so it's not like he's going to miss much, and he's threatened to hold out. The Vikings and Cook had been negotiating, and I had somebody that I trust very much tell me last night that this is not a situation where the Vikings are going to cave, that they will dig in. They're going to pay what they have allocated. They're not going to pay him Christian McCaffrey money. And that if push comes to shove, they will behave like the Chargers did with Melvin Gordon, not like the Cowboys did with Ezekiel Elliott, where if you want to skip training camp, go ahead. If you want to hold out into the regular season, go ahead. The Vikings will go forward with Alexander Mattison and the rest of the guys they have if Dalvin Cook decides he's not going to take what the Vikings have offered and hold out into the season. They just aren't going to do it. They rarely have this kind of an impasse with a player, and if Cook doesn't want what they're willing to pay, the fact that it's blown up the way that it has is a sign that that impasse is real. And the Vikings, this person that I trust who knows how the team operates, strongly believes they're not going to cave in here, and this potentially is going to blow up on Cook.
Yeah, well, I could see Minnesota doing that. I certainly can. I mean, the two references you drew to there as far as Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin Gordon, the situation's different. First off, hey, Melvin Gordon, really good football player, but certainly has some knee issues, and I think that long-term ability to play and be successful was a little bit concerning to the Chargers. Ezekiel Elliott had great leverage over the Cowboys. The team has been built through the run game, what he can do. And they had nobody on the roster that they could look at to go, oh, okay, he's not Zeke, but we trust this guy. Where it's different in Minnesota, one, they have salary cap issues. But I think, two, you and I are in agreement here. Like, Alexander Mattison is a starting caliber NFL running back. He is. He'd be a starter on other teams in football. He's just stuck behind a guy that's super talented in Dalvin Cook. So, Mike, I ask you, what do you think that number is that does everybody right? That's good for Dalvin Cook, but not killing the Minnesota Vikings. What is that number that is fair?
Well, $12 million a year.
Yeah.
For Dalvin Cook, the structure still has a lot to do with it. But you mentioned Mattison, and here's some stats from Pro Football Focus that Pete sent over while we were having this discussion. Dalvin Cook last year averaged 4.5 yards per carry. Mattison, 4.6. Yards after contact per carry, Dalvin Cook, 3.1. Alexander Mattison, 3.2. Missed tackles per carry, Cook, 0.17. Mattison, 0.18. So, it's not a huge difference, but the point is Mattison may be basically the same guy. And I think back, and once we accept the fact that Gary Kubiak is the offensive coordinator now of the Minnesota Vikings, now that Kevin Stefanski is gone, this is the Kubiak-Shanahan offense. I think back to what happened in Denver, that period of time where they went from Terrell Davis, he gets injured.
Yeah.
Orlandis Gary becomes a star. He gets injured.
Right.
C.J. Anderson becomes a star. You plug a guy in, it's the system, and there are a lot of guys, and I don't want to take anything away from Dalvin Cook because he's a special talent. But the thing is, the gap, if the gap isn't all that big between Cook and Mattison, And Madison's operating under the second season of a third-round slotted rookie deal.
Yep.
And
right.
Cook wants 13, 14, 15 million a year or more. At a certain point, you got to make a business decision. And the fans won't be happy about it. But if Madison comes out of the gates and he has the impact that Cook did last year, people are going to forget about Cook pretty quickly. That's just the way it works.
Definitely. You're right. And, Madison is the type of talent to kind of, take the reins and go with it and be successful and justify and go, Vikings fans, everybody go, oh, okay, this guy looks awesome too. He's a starter. We're okay without Dalvin Cook. Now, I don't think, and again, I know the stats are close. I do think Dalvin Cook is the better player. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he's kind of special. And when you read stats there by PFF and everything, and I'm not trying to discredit them, but, you also got to take into account when Madison's in the game, defenses are going, okay, they're probably going to pass. They're not expecting it. Madison, of course, is fresher, which can lead to him breaking more tackles because Dalvin Cook's more the workhorse and been in there on a play-by-play basis. So I'm just trying to give some context behind those stats. But I think that is very real. And I think the best point you might make, Mike, is hands down, you're right. Again, this is like a great system as far as passing the ball. This is a great system in running the ball. And we've seen that you don't have to be a superstar to kind of look like a superstar in that Shanahan, Kubiak, outside, inside zone running scheme. And the scheme is special, and they do some things coaching-wise that just the rest of the league doesn't know exactly what they're doing coaching it. So I do think that from that standpoint, Cook loses a little leverage because of all those little issues we just talked about.
It's going to be a challenge to see how it all unfolds, and ultimately it's in everyone's interest for this to be done before the start of training camp, so when Cook does show up, he's able to have maximum impact. But if he doesn't, look, there's only so much the Vikings are capable of doing financially, and they're going to have a value they put on that position. And if Cook insists on anything more than that, I trust and I believe, after I hear the reasoning, I had the conversation with the person last night, I agree that the Vikings are making their attempt to sign him. And if he wants more than what the Vikings have budgeted, have allocated, have determined is the right number, then next man up. It's that simple.
Yeah. What's crazy about the situation is just the current status of the running back market. That's really what it is. We have some contracts that have confused the situation a little bit. And you're right. Like, I look at the Dalvin Cook and go, like, yeah, I think somewhere in that $12 million price range is probably fair to all. But what skews the market is guys like David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell, who are making north of $13 million. And, of course, haven't looked that good. So I'm sure Dalvin Cook and his representatives are going, wait, they're making that, and my player's better than them. Then why shouldn't he make north of what they made? And, of course, I think the Vikings are going to go, well, those were stupid contracts by those teams, and they shouldn't have done that. And I think that would probably be the appropriate answer. But a guy like Derrick Henry, where a lot of people view him as one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the sport, he's only going to make $10.2 million this year. And Kenyon Drake, who got the $8.4 million this year as well, hey, Dalvin Cook's certainly better than him. So I think you're right. Somewhere in that $10 to $12 million a year average type range, I think would be more than fair to Dalvin Cook. And I would advise Dalvin Cook to do that, because I do think this looks like one of those situations like the Chargers last year where the Vikings they're going to dig their heels in and go, we got a good running team. We got a good running back, and we don't feel like we're going to fall off earth without you, Dalvin Cook.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. It's one of the storylines to definitely watch as the season approaches. We'll be tracking that and everything else. Check us out around the clock at ProFootballTalk.com. We'll be back Thursday with another edition of PFT Live, hopefully with no technical issues, either for Chris or for me. We can only hope. Although it is entertaining when it doesn't happen to me, Chris.
Thank you very much. Yes, I want to swear right now on the way out, but I won't do it.
Well done. You're maturing. That's good. As you close in on 40, you're finally showing growth.
Finally.
You're showing adulthood. You're showing maturity, at least for right now in this moment. It may not last long. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
See ya.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.